Yes, everyone, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur with your boy Dave. As you can see, no Jack tonight, and that's because it's Thanksgiving over there for all my friends across the pond. So happy Thanksgiving to you all. Hopefully you have a wonderful day and, plenty to be thankful and grateful for. Also, happy 27th birthday to James Madison. But enough of that. We're going to do our best to bring you the best stream possible. I'm having internet troubles. Ben is having internet troubles. So we're going to see how long this lasts and see how long we can get out of this. Like Sean likes to say, what is the best juice from the squeeze? We'll see what we can wring out of this. But as you can see, joined by a special guest this evening, Johnny from Spurs Talk Show, Ben from We Are Tottenham TV. We'll start with you, Sean. How are you this evening, my man?
Good, mate. Yeah. Just quickly, obviously, because you're from that part of the world, I heard that there's some horrible things happening in Dublin this evening. Shout out to Dublin. Hope everyone's okay. The world's in a pretty messed up place right now, isn't it? But
awful. Absolutely
we
awful.
struggle on. Good to see you all.
Thoughts
Good to be back with a quality panel. Good to see everyone in the chat. Shout out to the chat. Thanks for having me.
No, it's brilliant to have you, my man. And look, absolutely thoughts and prayers. Something absolutely awful happened in the capital this evening. Not good scenes up there this evening whatsoever. So thoughts and prayers go out to the family of those children as well. But look, we are joined by Ben from We Are Tottenham TV. Also, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. Getting ready for Spurs to come back. The international break was a bit of a slog, but I felt like we needed this international break anyway to get players fit. Destiny Udogie is coming back. So that's a massive plus for us this weekend. But look, I'm good. Happy to be here with you guys. I haven't been on for a while, so thanks for having me on. It's good to be here.
No, it's great of you to be here, my man. We had Sim last week. Good conversation with Sim. So you've got a lot to live up to this week, Benji. Let's just quickly welcome a few people into the stream. Big up, Iceman. Great to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. We also have Daniel Horton. Good to see you. He says, from Fairbanks, happy Thanksgiving, my man. Big up, King Huddle. Great to see you. Also, good evening. What's that? Good evening, Spurites. Spurites. Okay, big up, King Huddle. Huh?
I think he means Spursites.
Oh, okay. Big up, King Huddle, my man. Great to see you in the building. Also, Donovan Oosterreicher, becoming a member. Really appreciate that, my man. And he also says, glad I can watch this show. I'm thankful for everything you guys do for the community. Lots of love to you all. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Donovan. Really appreciate that. Ricardo, good evening, sir. Also, Ricky Nato, good evening to you. Happy Thanksgiving, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Big up, Sean Brown as well. We also have Ash involved. Big up, Ash. Great to see you. Along with William McKenzie, Ed as well. Great to see you, Liam. We also have Paulio. Big up, my man. We also have James Paratrooper. Big up. Great to see you, my man. And also Irish Jam, Davey H as well. Really good to see you. And Slow Damrod, great to see you all with us this evening. Just before we get into it, of course, make sure you smash that like button. That should be a given. Please get over and check out the Two Boys channel. Plenty of content up there daily for all of you Spurs enthusiasts to sink your ears and eyes into. So make sure that Spurs Talk Show and Ben from We Are Tottenham TV. And, of course, you can follow us all across socials as well. For channel members, there is a post up in the community section. If you want to get members' questions in for the end, something we do at the end, we'll try and get through as many as we can. But why not make it a super chat? It's a great way to support everything that we do here. No big wigs behind us, so we do rely on your support. So why not show a bit on this Thanksgiving? But look, we'll crack straight into it, lads. And I sort of want to start with what's really the main in the thumbnail and in the title. Despite a stellar start to the season from Tottenham, our Spurs at a crossroads once again, and what I mean by that is before the break, we suffered back-to-back defeats. We've been here before the previous managers where we have started, a few injuries and everything sort of got derailed. And I would argue another loss to Villa, it could put significant dents in our confidence and have a detrimental impact come the end of the season. Is there anything you've seen different this time around under Ange that maybe alleviates them fears of it happening again? And we'll start with you on this one, Ben.
I don't think it's something I've seen from Ange. I'm going to see different from Ange, but I think it's people need to manage their expectations. When we came into this season, nobody thought that would be a shoo-in for top four. Nobody thought we'd even be fighting for top four. People would have been happy with Europa League football, getting qualification from that this season. And I think everyone, for me, should have just looked at this season as a building block season for next season. Everyone knew that, a few injuries in key areas, we're going to be completely out on our feet. And for us, we got it all at one time with the suspensions and the injuries in very key areas. We got our whole defense has been stripped out pretty much with Mickey van der Ven and Cuti Romero. So look, I'm not under any false illusions. Maybe Spurs fans got in a bit of a false sense of security when we were winning every game, and we've got an amazing first 11, but we all know that anything after that is not great at Spurs. So for me, using this season as a building block, I'm not too worried about the losses here and there, because I think with the injuries that we've got, they're just going to come. It's just where we're at the moment. So people need to realize where Spurs are at the moment. People need to try and not kind of lay into them too much for the losses that are coming, in my opinion. And I think that we just need to get by this season with the injuries that we have, get the first 11 back, the wins will stop flowing through. And next season, when we can replenish the kind of depth in the squad, I'm going for a title charge next season.
Sean, do you agree with Ben that maybe it could look like that if you were one that maybe changed your aspirations due to the start of the season we had?
Yeah, I think everybody. I'd be amazed if there was anybody who didn't. People that we know, people that are always in the comments, the community that we have kind of fostered here. If they're people that didn't kind of reset a little bit their expectations, they might say they didn't, but I think everyone starts to look up the table, starts to have conversations when you go 10 undefeated. Look, I think that the plan should be to go back to your expectations pre-season, and that there's no disgrace in that, right? Like in just kind of reflecting on where we're at with the scenario. However, what I would say is, if we lose against Villa, I think Villa are extraordinarily strong. Generally, they're not as good away as they are as they are at home, but I think that a loss to Villa, given our current situation, isn't outside of the realms of very reasonable possibility. And then a loss against Manchester City is also very, very much on the cards. So then you're facing four on the bounce. I don't remember the last time Tottenham lost 4 in the bounce in the league. It probably hasn't happened too frequently. What I would say is I think everybody should be, okay with that. And I'm going to be interested to see what happens. I wouldn't expect there to be too many toys thrown out of the pram or the baby thrown out with the bathwater after, if we do lose on Sunday and then again next week against City. But I would imagine that if we lose against West Ham, I think 5 in a row, West Ham at home, I think then you'll start to see some kind of murmurs of discontent. Not from, I'll always critique the game as I see it. But that doesn't mean I'm going to lose faith in the system or the process or the project. I'm very much with Ben in as much as I think we need to be patient with this process and also just, bake into our energy that there's not a lot we can do about what's happened. And what has happened has been, extraordinarily unfortunate to have had so much, bad fortune in such a short space of time. So, yeah, I think that if we do lose the next 2 and then lose against West Ham, I think you might then start to see some creaks from some people, some cracks from some people in their belief. But I personally won't. I'll be on board with it regardless.
Sure, I don't think those grievances shouldn't be warranted, to be honest, because we've had such a unexpectedly good start to the season. Yes, we're going to have 4 losses if they are to come 4 losses in a row, but people just need to trust in the process. People need to see that we're on a good path right now, and just to stick with the team, stick with the good mentality in the fan base, in the stands, keep supporting the team. I don't get why people would kind of throw their toys out the pram when they can literally see what is going on in front of their eyes. And the only thing that is holding us back right now is that we didn't sign enough in terms of the backups and what's going on after the first 11, and also the injuries. You can't account for that many injuries and suspensions in one game. It's ridiculous.
Right. No, I 100% agree. But as I do, Ben, that there's elements of the fan base that are always waiting to pop off, always waiting to turn the conversation back towards certain other talking points. And I think it's human nature as well to have recency bias, and they'll forget the first 10 and they'll remember the last 5 if we do lose against Villa, you know, and then obviously after that you got Newcastle. So like it's not, again, you know, there's a chance where we could go 6 on the pounce, and you know, I think people will have recency bias, and I completely agree with you. For me, calm, steady as she goes. We're going to take the volatility. It is what it is. I'd also go to the point as far as to say, even if we had assigned 1 additional centre back, you know, if we had got the Lloyd Kelly in on deadline day or whoever we were looking for, I still don't think that there was ever going to be a situation in reality where we would have done enough in the transfer window to have weathered this particular storm. This particular storm is brutal. It's like a hurricane. It's a force 5 gale. And I don't think that there's enough sails on any particular boat that could have weathered it and got us out of this particular situation. So, yes, we could have done more in the transfer window, maybe 1 more here, maybe 1 more there. But generally speaking, I think when you factor in as much disruption as we've had, I think that any team would struggle with this amount of disruption this quickly.
Well, yeah, 100%. But I do think it would have been a lot better with just 1 centre-back, a good centre-back, to just kind of cover us for this period that we're going through now up until January. Or even, because Romero is going to be back in 2 games' time. So if we did buy that 1 centre-back that can come in and do a proper job, because we just don't have that at the moment, I do think it would have been a lot better for us. So 1 player for me, and I think that could have masked a few of the problems.
Look, I'd go along with that as well, but I want to know from you guys, like, what gives you the confidence that this time isn't going to end up the same time it did under Jose and the same time it did under Conte, under Nuno? Because, for a period under Jose, we were top of the league. Everyone was raving about him. All of a sudden, it fell off. He ended up losing his job. Same with Conte. When we got Conte, everyone was, Conte. Everyone was happy in the stands. The sort of pressure on the owner sort of released itself for a little while. And then he ended up he got Champions League and then ended up facing the same team. Nuno's got off to a good start, 3 games unbeaten, 3 clean sheets, and it all fell off. And it all seems to be in around this period when we get a lot of games, when we carry a lot of injuries, some suspensions. But what I want to know is what gives you guys the optimism that it's going to be different this time around, that, we won't eventually end up losing that patience, this, that, the other.
I think we got 50% less dross than we did. I think when we had Conte, we had, half of the squad, maybe even more than that. 3/4 of the squad wasn't sufficient to play at this level, to play the system we wanted to play. Plus also the football that was on offer was dreary and dross. And I think most Tottenham fans, I think I'm someone, I get criticized and I get ridiculed when I go on neutral fan channels and they say to me things like, what? So you wouldn't be happy playing park the bus football if it got you a trophy? And my answer is always no. Like, for me, I spend 52 weeks or 40 weeks of the year watching Tottenham. I don't want to watch horrible, horrendous, horrifically defensive football on the off chance that we might lift the trophy. I'd rather enjoy the process as much as the result. And I think this time around, we are getting through the dross. We are not quite there, but we are getting through it. We've got through some. We've still got a few more to go, and most of them we're not going to get rid of until their contracts wind down. But we are coming to the end of that era, and we are starting a new one that is benchmarked around at least playing attractive football as best we can. So I think for those reasons, more than anything else, I think that's why it's different this time, that people are going to be a little bit more tolerant because they see some more enjoyment out of the experience, and hopefully some success can come at the end of it.
Yeah, look, interesting. Go on, Ben.
No, I was about to echo those thoughts, really. And I think you can see the process that, I don't understand anyone that can't see the process that we're on. Everyone was talking about last season, we need to get back to playing good football. We need to get, refresh the squad in terms of bringing the average age down. We've done both those things. We've got a manager where everyone is talking about they want to run through brick walls for him. He says all the right things in press conferences. The tactics that he deploys is the Tottenham DNA, and everyone can see we're going in the right direction. So, keep with it.
Ben, look, can I just ask quickly? Sorry, I'll ask both of you. I'm sorry not to play the host, but at what point do you expect? I've suggested that if we lose to West Ham, there'll be some knives sharpening from within the fan base. If not, then is it Newcastle? If not, then is it Forest? At what point do you guys, if it was to go, if it was to continue on the recent trajectory in the short term, do you expect there to be an element of the fan base to go toxic or sour? And at what point, at what game will that happen?
I don't want to see anyone go toxic until if we're getting these results with Mickey van der Ven, James Maddison, and Cuti Romero on the team, then I think people are starting to get a case. But we need to give him time, and time is not with Eric Dyer and Ben Davis filling in at centre back. Like these are the players that have let us down time and time again over the years under every single different manager. So we need to keep going with the new players that we have, replenish them so we can get players that can step in if we do go through this situation again. I don't want to see anyone throwing their toys out the pram until we see that, basically, if we have these kind of results with these guys in the team.
Yeah. Look, I'm with that as well. Look, I'm one of these. I struggle to blame managers and have done over recent years until certain individuals are shifted out of this squad because of how I feel about them and my thoughts on them, and they haven't done anything to prove me wrong under multiple different managers. And I just think until we give a manager time and patience to build something, a good couple of transfer windows where he is backed, we're going to keep going through this cycle. And that's what my fear is. I just hope that this time around we're a bit smarter, that we can see we've got a guy that, speaks well about us in the press, speaks very well in the press. And look, we can hear and say we don't care about that. We do. When Conte spoke horribly about us in the press, we were in uproar. You got a guy that plays the Spurs way, the way that many people, and not just Spurs fans, every football fan wants to see football played in that sort of way. So for me, I just hope that we can look past, if we do go on a bad run. The reason why I say that is because Dyer and Davies and that squad depth issue was an issue before Ange Postecoglou even got here. And it's an issue that when outer managers stumble across it, have failed to find any solutions to that issue. So on that basis, for me, I think we should give them patience. But I'd caveat that with football's a results-based industry. It's a results-based business. And if you ain't getting wins on the board and your rivals are piling on pressure, laughing at you, you're being mocked all over social media, fans will very, very quickly lose patience. They might go, look, Ange, nice guy, great guy, but, we can't continue to lose this way. So I do worry in that regard. I just hope that this time we're smart enough to maybe, see it through.
Yeah. But again, it brings you back to the point, right, about expectations coming into before the season. Like, I still think even if we do go on and lose these 6 games in a row, I don't think we will. But let's say for argument's sake, we do lose these 6 games in a row, there's still a good chance that when we get these players back, we go on a really good run. After this run, by the way, we play 2 top 6 teams up until April, and those 2 teams are Manchester United and Chelsea. So we've got an actually really kind fixture list from after this run up until April. So in my mind, I think like once we get these players back post-January, we're going to kick on from there. And I think like a top 4 finish, top 6 finished, even if we lose these next 5-6 games, are still very much on.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I 100% echo you, Ben. Listen, when I was saying like at what point do the fans turn, I'm not invoking it. I'm not advocating for it. I want there to be absolute patience, absolute understanding. For me, this guy is the guy that we should all get behind, regardless of what happens this year. Even if it falls apart, I want this season to be the rebuild. Like I said at the start, obviously, I think that it's reasonable and understandable that everyone has recency bias to the positive when they reset expectations. I know there was conversations around, is there a title race, all that stuff. And now people are going to maybe look at the recent past and the maybe future past or recent past and think, this isn't great anymore. It's not good enough. But I encourage everybody to stick to the plan, Batman, because I do think this guy has the ability with the first 11 we've got, and maybe, over the next 2 windows, 5 or 6 decent additions. And like Ben said, title race next year, or at least a decent threat, decent challenge for it.
Title race.
Plus, it took hours, hours of late evenings to get Ben to come around to Postecoglou. So, we need people to have a bit of patience in it, but absolutely spot on.
David,
wait, what? What's that?
Working, David. You put the work in.
Hang on, wait. Ben wasn't on board with it. Is that what you're saying? I didn't know this. Ben wasn't on board.
That he wasn't on board. He was just, I would say trying to source more detail about the guy, you know, and I just had to
Oh,
say,
okay.
look, strap your boots up. It's going to be like Harry Redknapp here, you know, strap in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
So,
Yeah.
no, good.
Fair
Usually
enough.
I'd say, you know, I don't want any of us to agree, but I'm glad we all agree on that situation because it is for the benefit of the football club. Big up KPV, by the way. Great to see you in the building, my man. And also Sweeney Todd and Steve D sneaking in there as well. Great to see you guys. Fans Radfire 3-1 Spurs. Big up, my man. He says many big clubs will poach Ange if Levy is not careful. Look, we'll start with you on this one, Benji. I mean, is it something maybe you're a little bit fearful of?
You know what? I've spoken about this to a couple of people a few times because Ange historically actually doesn't stay in too many places for too long. To be honest, you see that once a bigger club do come calling, he usually does take the jump. But I do think it's a bit different now because this is the biggest club he's been in. Well, maybe the biggest club, but I think maybe the hardest challenge in terms of a Premier League challenge, the biggest league he's been in. Let's say that, because I do think Celtic, you know, are a massive club in their own right. But I don't know. I don't think he jumps ship unless he kind of does what he wants to do here and achieves the goals that he wants to achieve. So I think the difference is in every other club he achieved those goals and was able to move up the ladder. I think he needs to achieve goals that he needs to achieve here, it being to be able to move up to the ladder, in my opinion.
Sean, do you agree with that, or do you think every club's looking at it going, you know, there's a history of Spurs managers maybe not getting everything they need, you know, and that they might overlook that in terms of what everything else that the guy brings, the style of football, you know, the charisma, man management, etc.
Sorry, wait. What's the question? Is he gonna jump ship?
Yeah, is there a fear that, you know, well, not jump ship, but you know, if Levy sort of makes life hard on Ange and a big club comes calling that, you know, he might end up going.
No, I don't think so. I think he's. I agree with Ben again. I think he's someone who sticks to the project, but I also think that he's not someone who has ever like been, you know, the opposite of Conte almost, who demands that there's, you know, money available for whatever he wants. I think that Ange has made it clear that, you know, he likes to fish in smaller ponds and finds the biggest fish in appropriate ponds that can then compete in the larger thing. It will be interesting to see whether he can do that, because that philosophy that he's had has, like I say, it's only ever been tested where the pond has always been fairly small anyway. So it will be interesting to see whether the fish that he identifies, and thus far, it looks like over the last 2 windows that we're getting there. But it will be interesting to see whether, if this January, if the rumors are true that we don't have the, you know, all of the money or that much money to go, and considering we need 2 or 3, maybe 4 even signings, then it'll be interesting to see how deep his resources of knowledge go to be able to find players that can fit the bill when you think about the leveling up of the caliber or the competition that he has to step up against. So, but I don't think he's going to disappear anywhere that's going to give him resources, because he's never been someone who's required them in the past. So I think we've got him. I think it's a good relationship. I think the only thing that's going to turn, I think the first thing that will go sour of any particular part in this, the ownership, the club, the manager, or the fans, if anything's going to disrupt this, the first catalyst will be the fans.
And he's always been someone that's kind of thrived on these kind of challenges and not to back away from a challenge as well. So I only think like he leaves once the objectives are complete, or Daniel Levy just gets the hump like he does sometimes and just chops him basically.
Fair enough. Well, fast back over to you, my man. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on that and where you sit on the situation. And look, my man, really do appreciate the support. It really does go a long way to everything I do here, that does here, but also any YouTuber out there, you know, goes a long way to really helping them out. So really do appreciate that. Faz Radfar. We also have Raju says question, how many transfer windows do we need to compete at the top? We'll start with you on this one, Shawnee.
2. I think it's at least it's definitely not going to be 1, because this window particularly is going to be reshaped. If we hadn't had what happened on the night of Chelsea, and also, you know, bearing in mind Perisic is a massive miss, by the way. He's absolutely huge. I don't know whether or not he's going to leave and go back to Hijduk Split anyway, as part of the Vescovic deal. But I would say you're going to, at the very least, need 2, if not 3. I think what will happen, and in an ideal scenario, I see us doing enough to help us qualify for the Champions League in January. And then in the summer, knowing that we've got top tier, high caliber European football next year, we go again. And then I would hope that by next January, all we need to do is sprinkle in 1 player here, 1 player there to then kick on for the final hurdle. So I'd hope 2.5 windows is what I'll say, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Ben, you in agreement, or do you think it's going to take less or longer? Does he have 2.5 windows?
He will have it. I mean, it's becoming a bit of a boring show with us all just agreeing with each other, but I guess it's a good thing because we're all on the same page. But I completely agree. I think, like I said before, I think after the summer window, we should be ready to fight for the title. I think our first 11 right now, I really think it's a match for anyone, like when it's all fit. So I just think just get the kind of backup in defense. Lo Celso and Højbjerg, I don't know what's going to happen with them. Maybe we need replacements for them. And the front line, Andrew's made it very clear, the front line isn't exactly playing the way he wants. I think we need a world-class left winger to come into that front line. And I think we'll be good to go to really make a fist of it next season. I'm not saying we go and win it next season, but I think we can definitely be up there until the latter stages of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, personally, I think, January, this January, I think it's over. Huh?
Sorry, Dave, I got cut off there. I didn't know you were talking. Sorry, mate. Yeah, finish your sentence.
No, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I also think I'm not sure if Decky's good enough to play. I like Decky as a player for the squad. I'm just not sure if him on the right, with his propensity to cut in every single time. I agree with Ben. I think you needed someone who can run at teams from the left. But I know, Dave, you disagree massively that you think we've already got enough wingers. I think we've got 7 wingers, none of whom do what a winger's supposed to do. So I make the argument that you could actually improve both sides and reposition Decky into a 10 backup role or something else. But
what about Brennan, Sean?
Yeah, well, I mean, from what I saw, Brennan, were you at the Wolves game, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if you watched, but I watched the game back on TV afterwards as well. And I don't think in the second half, you didn't really see on TV what Brennan Johnson's energy and activity was. But he was right in front of me. I was right down by the corner flag at the ground. And I was just sitting there I was going, he looks like he's absolutely on his knees. He was just absolutely shattered to the point where I was like, he's not doing anything with the ball. He's not getting back and helping out defensively. He's jogging around the pitch, and being, ineffectual. And I just don't know whether that is, I don't know whether he's got it. It's just lack of fitness, match fitness or whatever, or whether he actually is a player that can drive at players, or whether he's better suited to be on the shoulder and running in when the ball gets hit over the top. But I never saw it. I still haven't seen him take a player on, just like I haven't seen Decky do it, just like I haven't really seen Manuel Solomon do it, haven't really seen Brian Hill do it when he's had minutes. I just feel like we don't have any winger. We have 6 wingers. The only one who ever did it was Perisic. And he's obviously out and probably has kicked his last ball for Tottenham. So I feel like there's an argument to say that we've got 6 wingers and none of them really are direct one-on-one type of players. I don't know if you disagree or agree with that.
I mean, we do need that kind of Jeremy Doku kind of style of player. He's going to get the ball, completely be a one-on-one demon. I completely agree, but I think it's a bit unfair on Brennan Johnson. The sample size is really small with him. The Wolves game, it was just about coming back from injury. So I think it is unfair with Brennan. I agree to a certain extent with Kulusevski. I think even when he does try and take on his man, he's just a bit too predictable at times. But I do think he does a really good job for the team in terms of the stamina that he does have and the physicality that he has on the right-hand side. With Manuel Solomon, again, the sample size is just really small. And I do remember that game against Burnley earlier on this season when he had his best game in the Spurs shirt. And I noticed that. I thought he was running at his man and beating his man in that game, especially in the first half. But I do agree we do need upgrades on the wing, but I don't want to.
He might be the most. I take your point about the sample size. The thing about Manuel Solomon though is his sample size in the Premier League He's been here for 2.5 seasons, and I think he's probably been fit for about 12 games. And I just wonder whether or not the rationale for signing him in the first place was more of a business decision than a what's best for the team one, where, oh, he's free, is he? Okay, let's bring him in. We can immediately put £20 million on the asset valuation, on the kind of the assets of the club. He might be good enough. He's not a bad enough player to kind of say it's a terrible signing. But I don't think there'd be any problem with Tottenham selling him for, 10 million quid or 12 million quid in the summer if a reasonable bid came in, because he cost us nothing. And so the argument that you shouldn't really go out and find new wingers because we've got too many anyway, I'm not sure it holds water when you know that Perisic is probably out of the club, if not in January, then in the summer. Manor Solomon, as soon as he's fit, he could also be liquidated for 10 million, because that just, it adds value to the balance sheet. And then Brennan Johnson, we're not sure. Decky, you could move in. I think that there's enough of a kind of rationale to say, actually, you could sign 2 forwards that are more direct and more appropriate, and then liquidate both Perisic and Solomon, and it wouldn't make that much of a difference to the shape of the squad. I don't know if that makes sense.
He's been very unlucky as well, though, Ange, hasn't he? And we all talk about the injuries in defence, but the injuries on the wings have been just
crazy.
Not just as bad, because we've got literally no one else to play at centre back, but on the wings, Brennan Johnson, as soon as he come his first start, he gets injured, and it was worse than first bid, and he was out for longer. Perisic, I think the Perisic injury has also had a detriment on Richarlison, because I thought those two can work really well with Richarlison's kind of aerial ability. And I think it's just kind of just got bad to worse for Ange all the way through the season. He's had to struggle with this in every position.
Yeah. Look, I'd agree with that. Look, personally, I think we have enough in the ranks to be able to sort the problem out. I think a left footer needs to play on the left side, right footer needs to play on the right side, and run at them, drive at players, When it comes to Brennan Johnson, I don't know, I'm just not seeing the same player that was there at Nottingham Forest just quite yet. Look, he's got loads of time. The guy at Nottingham Forest was explosive, he was confident, he had a bit of a swag about him. Brennan Johnson looks like he's scared at the minute when he pulls on a Tottenham jersey, And look, I know he's still young, but he needs to man up very, very quick. You look at Dulu. Look, his form has dipped a little. Look, he offers a lot out of possession. You have to credit him for that, and he is getting a little bit better in possession. But it's that final ball; it's not quite right. He needs to. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I think they have to work with him on the training pitch. They need to get him to find that calmness in the moment, because everything else he does up until that final ball is brilliant. I know Sean says he's predictable and stuff like that, but they don't stop it. It's the final ball. It's that delivery, that pass, that cross that actually lets him down. But look, where I stand. The answer on the left is Gil Messi. Someone needs to give the guy an opportunity. You're talking about energy, directness. This guy's going to give it to you. He gave it to us off the bench in Antonio Conte's team last season before he loaned them out.
I think you're being unfair. I really do. On Brennan Johnson, and Brian Hill has come on in the last 2 games and he hasn't pulled up any trees whatsoever. And I like you, I'm a big believer in Brian Hill. I think he's got attributes that can really suit this Ange Postecoglou system. I think he can be a really good player, but it's the same. Brennan Johnson, in my opinion, has shown a lot more than what Brian Hill has this season. Albeit, yes, he has played more games and more minutes. But you look at Brennan Johnson on his debut. He came on the last 10 minutes of Sheffield United. He helped change that game. I thought he was really good for those last 10 minutes. Got that offside goal. That was just about offside. He started the Arsenal game. I thought he played well in the Arsenal game, particularly, he was getting those chances, forced Raya into an absolutely worldy of a save. Got injured after that. 10 minutes at Fulham, it didn't really do much. Half an hour at Palace, I don't think he did too much in that game either. But it's just him coming back from injury. But I think when we first saw him in the team against Arsenal and against Sheffield United, I was like, wow, we got a proper player here.
For me, with Brennan Johnson, I would say the initial thoughts when I first heard about signing him, I did my research on him and I was like, this guy's a one-trick pony. He's someone who's super fast. He's got an incredible finish. He can find the side of the net. He knows how to shoot when he gets through, but it requires spacing behind. It requires him to have the ball over the top, because I can't find too much evidence of him being able to. His passing stats were always horrendous, and his take on stats were pretty woeful. And then I went and spoke to a bunch of Nottingham Forest fans, and a couple of them were Welsh, and they convinced me. And I said this on my channel. I was like, look, I've had my head turned a little bit by people that know the player better, and they're saying, actually, this guy has so much more in his locker than what has been allowed to be seen by Nottingham Forest style of football. He's very good at what you see him do at Forest, but that's only because of the style that he can do. Similar to the idea that, like, if you were to put Mickey van der Ven in a low block team, you'd never see the best of Mickey van der Ven, right? You only see the best of Mickey van der Ven in a high line because he can show his pace, which is the same narrative as to why I've kind of loosened up my mind on Lloyd Kelly. I think Lloyd Kelly is a square peg in a round hole. I think his physical and his pace stats, I think his leader, I think all of the things that Lloyd Kelly is great at will suit a high line team better than what you see at Bournemouth. However, not to get off the point, these people said to me, you just wait and see. Ben Johnson can do it all. He just he hasn't been asked to do it that much in Nottingham Forest. So I was like, all right, I'll buy into that. And I will still buy into it. But thus far in a Tottenham shirt, I haven't seen anything else other than the things that he was good at Forest. Like that moment when the ball got put over the top and it was the offside, his first touch in the Tottenham shirt, when he put the brilliant finish, it was offside. I think it was the Arsenal game, wasn't it? I think that there's
for the United game, I think.
Oh, sorry, United game. That's it. Sorry. Yeah. I feel like that these people that say that there's more to him than meets the eye, I'm okay. I'm on board with it. Just haven't had a chance to see it yet. So I'm going to bite my tongue and wait and see. But thus far, what I have seen of him is the same things I saw from Forest. And I think he needs to learn Angie's system and hopefully get fit. So I'm with you, Ben, not panicking about him. Want to see it, but haven't seen it yet.
But also, he is playing out of position, by the way. He's playing out of position every single time he's played for Tottenham. His natural position is on the right. He also plays up front for Wales. I've never seen him play out on the left for Wales or Nottingham Forest. Always True. He's on the right or up front. So you've got to take that into account as well.
Yeah.
Look, I think if you can play on the right, you should be able to play on the left. I mean, I don't think there's too much difference in it, if you want me to be brutally honest. The only difference is, you receive the ball at a different angle and stuff like that. But a good player should be able to play on both sides comfortably, in my opinion. But look, when it comes to Brennan Johnson, I do think there's a player in there. I just want to see more. Like I said, I think, seeing a shadow of himself. He looks a bit scared at the minute. I just want to see more of him. I don't want him to be one of these players that come to Tottenham. He's going to end up a bit part squad player, because when you play him, you don't really know what you're going to get. He now, with that step up to Tottenham, he has to bring that level of consistency to his game. That's what will help him take this next step and keep him at this level. And I just hope he does. That's where
Dave, are you suggesting this is Brennan Johnson is Ryan Sessegnon Mark II?
No. Do you know what? I wouldn't go that far. I don't think so. I think he's better than Ryan Sessegnon.
Yeah, there is no shadow.com. Please don't. Let's not put that kind of narrative out there. It's too early.
Too early. I'll judge it at the end of the season. I'll let you know.
He hasn't even completed 90 minutes yet. Get off his back.
Exactly, that's the problem. How long have we had him? He's turning into the new Gio Lo Celso. But being counter member for 8 months says, big up, lads. Need reinforcements in January, but probably won't get too many. Also worried for the Villa game, but hopefully we can do something. Come on, you Spurs. On that, big up, Felix. Really appreciate you sending that in, my man. Lads, I mean, all four people on Gary Neville's, I was going to say shit podcast for Saturday night. It's really good. Roy Keane's in it. They are predicting a Villa win, this weekend. Seems to be a bit of a narrative forming around out there that, people think Villa are going to turn up and smash Spurs, even though they don't have the best of away form. What do you think on that, lads?
Look, I think we can win this weekend. I really do. I think I want to see. I was discussing this with Sim today about the midfield and which midfield we should deploy this weekend, and I was saying to him, like, I think we should put Bentancur in the 6, Pape Matar alongside Giovanni Lo Celso in that middle three, which gives us some steel, some creativity. I see you dropping your head there whenever I mention Giovanni Lo Celso, but I literally watched.
I'll be honest, I was expecting that to come from Simba, not you.
I watched the Argentina game, and Lo Celso was unbelievable. He was really good, along with Romero. And I want to see that midfield. Like, what the hell is he doing here if we're not going to give him a chance if Maddison isn't playing? So give the boy a chance. Let him see if he's up to it or not. And if he's not up to it after a game or two, then we can. I'll have the same attitude as you, Dave, on Gio. But with a new manager, get him in there. He's got some creativity about him. He's also got some bite about him in the midfield where he can track back and do the Maddison deep thing where he wins the ball back consistently in midfield. I'm not worried about any spot in the team, to be honest, this weekend, apart from the two centre-backs. The two centre-backs obviously very much worry me. I'm not sure which way to go. I probably would, if it was me, throw in an Ashley Phillips alongside it, Ben Davis, which does worry me massively. But I think Ashley Phillips is probably the only one with a bit of pace that can combat a Moussa Diaby and Ollie Watkins. So, look, I am worried, and we can very realistically lose this game. But I'm just banking on Villa's away form being awful. I watched them at Nottingham Forest a couple of weeks ago, and I thought they were absolutely played off the park that day. So if we can come in, if we can show the mentality that we have shown for the majority of the season, if we can keep somewhat defensively solid and attack much better than we have done in previous weeks, I think we can go take a win at home, especially with the fans behind us.
Where are you at with it, Sean? Look, everyone knows my thoughts on the side, so I ain't going to go into it. You know, do you agree with Ben, though? It could be our only option this weekend. And what do you think of all the pundits predicting Tottenham to lose this weekend?
I'm worried. I'm really worried about the pace that Villa's front line have got. 95 Diaby up against potentially. I don't know. I've heard at least Destiny Udogi's should be back. So I've got a better feeling about it with him. If he's out and you had to have Porro, Emerson, Davies, and Dyer in the back line, then I think that it would be curtains, if I'm honest.
Declared himself fit through the Athletic, Sean.
What's that?
He declared himself fit through the Athletic interview, saying he's ready.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel a little bit better about it with him back. I'll be honest, mate. I'm not feeling too special about this one. I think that Aston Villa, I know they're better at home than they are away. I think we've got too many people out at the moment.
Sure, did you not see Vicario sweeping at Chelsea? He's going to have to do it all again this weekend.
Yeah, and the problem for me with that, right, is I love it. I loved it. He was absolutely spectacular doing it. And I don't want to get dragged back into the Chelsea debate, whether it was the correct tactics or not. But can you imagine if he mistimed one of those lunges, one of those sweeps, and he took out, Sterling or Jackson, and then we were without him for 3 games as well.
Yeah.
Then you got to insert Fraser Foster in. It becomes it's bleak anyway. After that, it becomes catastrophic. So I really don't want to see us have to resort to that sort of tactic too often. It's just a little bit too gung. I'm not saying he was wrong to do it. I'm not getting into all that stuff. I think he was fine. I still believe and I trust the system. But I think against Villa, I just hope you're gonna. I said the same thing against Wolves. If we're gonna get a result out of it, you need your biggest players, your best players to step up. You're gonna need, and I included Bissouma against Wolves, and Bissouma was rubbish against Wolves. Sonny was rubbish against Wolves. Against Villa, you're going to need players like Pedro Porro to have worldies. You're going to need Udogi to have a worldie. You're going to need whoever steps in, Bentancur, you're going to need him to be fresh and ready and just hit the ground running again. You're going to need Sonny to have a worldie if we're going to come out of that with 3 points. And I'm not that confident. I don't want to be a downer, but I'm just not. I'm not really thinking.
We have to attack better than we've attacked for a long time this season, because our attacking play has been poor for the last 3 or 4 games, to be honest. And we need to put away our chances. We need Sonny to be at his clinical best if we are going to take points from this game. But I think we will create chances, and I think we will, if we can take those chances, I think we can win this game. I really believe that.
Midfield battle's important. I think Villa might be without John McGinn. I've seen biggest thighs in football. I love John McGinn, and if he's out, I think Tottenham have got he's such an underrated player. If he's out, I think Tottenham might have a slightly better chance. But Douglas Luiz, I think that I don't know who's going to step into our midfield with Bentancur, Pape Sarr, and Lo Celso. I hope they won't have been playing. Is Lo Celso even going to be off the plane yet? Is Lo Celso back from Argentina yet tonight? I don't know. Like, it's the problem with having these South Americans. They don't get back until Friday, do they?
Well, the game was midnight last night, so you'd imagine they'll be back pretty soon. And it's never been a problem so far this season with the international breaks. Romero's played straight away every time, and I'm sure we've got other South Americans that played straight away every time. So why not?
Okay.
Look,
I like
on the Celso. So I'd rather play Højbjerg, being brutally honest. The Celso's had 5 years here, hasn't even started 100 games.
He hasn't had 5 years here, though. He's had 3 years out on loan.
4.5. 4.5, nearly 5 years, Ben. Nearly tomatoes. That's what I said to that. But 5 years. Hasn't even completed 70 games for Tottenham. I think hasn't even started 30 odd for Tottenham. 1 goal, 3 assists across the Premier League. Nowhere near good enough. I just don't understand why we keep turning towards guys that have already had 4 years worth of opportunities, 5 different managers to put to work, and still haven't done it. But look, that's a debate for another day. I'm just letting people know I'm not going to sell some
That's all we have, Dave. That's all we have. We have to go with what we got.
Look, honest, I'd rather play Højbjerg, Bentancur, and Sarr. I'd be okay with that. I think playing with Lo Celso, you end up playing with a man down. He's not going to muck in when we need him to on the defensive side of the game. I don't think he'll get involved in the pressing work. So for me, I'm worried. I'm worried if we play him. I really am. But big up Bob Counter. Really appreciate the support through the membership, my man. 8 months, really long time, lad. Really do appreciate my man, absolute legend, and everyone else out there. We seem to have members that seem to be loyal for quite some time. So feel free to grab one of them memberships. It must mean we're doing something right. So grab one of them, become a part of this great community. Really appreciate the support, my man. But look, moving on. One last maybe thing I do want to bring up, and it's about what Destiny Adoji had to say on Christian Romero today. He said, this guy has no mercy. I remember in one of my first training sessions, I was playing inside as an inverted fullback. I controlled the ball, and from that, boom, I said, wow. And Ivan Perisic was like, yeah, welcome to Tottenham. And then went on to say, okay, Christian's a good guy because the way he trains is how he plays. He's a great defender, one of the best for sure. So what I want to know, guys, is where do we stand on training being this competitive? Because some would say, having this kind of training helps prepare for, match situations, also drive standards, set standards, for new people coming into this club, drives daily standards, stuff like that. But then on the other side, some will say, look, he's an absolute lunatic. Maybe Sean might say this, and you shouldn't be doing it to your own players, especially with the amount of injuries we're carrying.
Yeah.
So
he's a lunatic. He's a lunatic. Yeah, he's a lunatic. He's an absolute lunatic. Like, he bangs people on the heads when he's like celebrating them. I'm surprised there's not more concussions just from him giving people a polite tap on the head for scoring a goal. If you crunch people in training, I don't know. Like, I had a mate at school. I had a mate when I played rugby at university. I had a mate who, even when I lived in Australia, right, I trained for an AFL team just to keep my fitness up. And there was a geezer in the team. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was brand new to the sport. And there was a geezer on the training team who used to absolutely smash me. Like, absolutely smash me. And I walked away going, like, what are we doing here? It's dangerous. It's unnecessary. And when you're threadbare anyway, I just think that it's the equivalent of going to a boxing training and you're sparring with someone and he wants to hurt you. That's not how it's supposed to be, and it can disrupt you. I don't want to train it out of him, because if you train the aggression out of the player, then you might have the scenario like a Dele Alli where you fall off. But I don't know, man. Like, this guy, he's He's his own worst
Sean, do you
enemy.
not need someone in there driving standards every day? You know, when new players come in, you know, letting them know this is the way we train. You hear some of you know, look, that great United team with the Ferguson era. Gary Neville always talks about, all the players talk about Roy Keane being in there, driving the standards, setting the tone.
Driving the standards. Driving the standard. I completely agree about driving the standards, right? Like Roy Keane was a captain who people feared because, you know, if there was anyone mucking around, he would like snap it out of them, and people looked up to him, respected him, and he kept it professional. But I don't know if Roy Keane ever did what he did to Alfie Inga Haaland on the training ground. Like, I think there's a slight difference, and I just wonder and worry whether or not one of these days you're going to hear a story that Destiny Udogie is out for 3 months with a broken fibula because of a rash challenge from Romero on a 50-50 on a game of five-a-side on a Monday. I don't think it's necessarily necessary. There's a line, and the aggression thing can be curtailed a little bit.
I think you got to take Romero for what he is, to be honest. And I think if I agree with you, Sean, on the point that you made before, like if you try and take that aggression out his game, or even on the training pitch, I think you lose what you got with Cuti Romero. And I think it's something that is a massive help for the team. And I think, like,
is it though? 4 red cards in 65 games, 60 games, whatever it is. And it could have been 6 red cards. It could have been 7 red cards, right?
2 Premier League red cards, but no one says that for the players like Roy Keane, Sergio Ramos, and all these top players that used to get sent off a lot.
No, but the ratio of red cards to game played for Romero is smaller than it has been for any Premier League player in the last 10 years.
He's got two Premier League red cards in 3
seasons. 4 red cards in his Tottenham career, right?
Yeah, he got one in the Milan game, and he got one in the Vitesse game as well.
Right, and the Milan game that cost us massively, absolutely cost us. I'm just saying, like, is it a help? You're saying it helps us. I'm not sure if it does if we're in a situation. And also, I think that he's got a reputation. I think the game has pivoted. Like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, having a Romero, like if Roy Keane played today with that same personality that Roy Keane had then, I'm sure you guys go back and occasionally get sent these like clips from the 1980s where you see horrendous, like Kevin Keegan punching people in the face and only getting a yellow card. Like the game has moved to be a soft touch, and you've got a guy that's built for a different era. I love it. I love the aggression. I don't want to take it out of him, but it does need to be dialed down a little bit because, you know, I mean, Dave, you've made this point 100 times that the red card against Chelsea was not a red card. How? And I ended up agreeing with you that I don't know what he can do to stop the follow through. But maybe the follow through doesn't happen quite as aggressively if the clearance doesn't start quite as aggressively. And I think you have to adapt, right? The game has gone soft. You have to adapt a little bit.
He has to go at the clearance aggressively, though. It's the old nature, you know, putting your boot through the ball. If you're going in half-assed, that's where injuries happen. That's where we really do sort of start to get hurt. Look, for me, I think with Romero, I think we just have to get to grip with it. We've got one mean, nasty motherfucker in the team, and I'm all for it. I've watched Tottenham too many times down the years being a soft team, soft underbelly, you know, soft team to play against. And for me, I absolutely love having this guy in the back line.
How many red cards before you change your mind?
Huh?
How many red cards before you change your mind?
He can get 2 red cards a season. It's not a problem for me. It's really not a problem for me. If we had sufficient numbers in the back line, if we had decent enough backup for Romero, it wouldn't matter that he's out for a game here or a game there. It's hurting us.
It's 3 games here, it's 3 games there, and he costs you in the game that he's playing. Why can't he just learn to dial it down a little bit?
Because if you learn to dial it down a little bit, I think you take it all out of his game. And I think that, you know, you don't get the same Cuti Romero.
I think there's a middle ground. It's not like, I think we're going from feast to famine. It's like if you go from boiling hot water to freezing cold water, you think you're average, you think you're lukewarm. You're not. You're either boiling hot or you're freezing cold. And I think that there is a lukewarm, where he can just still be the player he is, but just recognize that the referees are not going to tolerate that stuff. And even if the referee misses it, the VAR are not going to tolerate that stuff. I think that the game has changed. He belongs to a bygone era. Roy Keane would have been sent off 20 times more often than he was if he was playing in the 2020 era than he was in the 1990s. I think that you have to shake hands with the system and the rules as they are. And Romero pushes the boundary a little bit too much. 2 red cards, straight reds, 3 games missing.
Yeah.
Look,
but if you've got
enough
backup, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah. I agree. Look, to be honest with you, the red cards, sometimes they can come back and cost you, but he does a lot more in other games that put points on the board. And I think what you're trying to say, Sean, is that, maybe just have a bit more nous about it. Because for me, you can't change his mindset. Because you change the mindset, that ferocity in a tackle will no longer be there. For me, it's actually just, I think, with age will come that experience where he'll learn to time it a little bit better, is what I would say. Maybe not do it in periods of the game where it does become costly, like you're saying, Sean. I think, but look, for me, I absolutely love the guy. I love the nature of him. I think, like I said, watching Dar, weak mentality, didn't want to tackle, players running at him, dribbling by him too easy. Whereas we got Christian Romero, does everything I want in my centre back. I think people playing as a centre back or a defender, you have to accept you're going to get some red cards throughout the season. It's the nature of the position. It comes with it, For me, again, like I said, I don't think the Chelsea one was a sending off. And if they stopped applying the rules to suit referees and actually applied it to actually suit the game of football that's happening, that would never have been a send off. So for me, the rules need to change back. That's where I'm at with it. Change the rules back, and we wouldn't be having these discussions about Romero.
I think, Dave, as well, like the red cards that he got this season against Chelsea is just compounded as well an issue that we've had with the Van der Ven injury and the other injuries and suspensions that we have got. I really believe the good massively outweighs the bad with Cuti Romero. And because of this red card, people aren't talking about how good he's been this season. He's been one of the best defenders in the league alongside Mickey Van der Ven. And I think both of them complement each other just so well. So I 100% think like these 2 defenders are the ones to go for. But then it's always going to bring me back to the point of backups and squad players. That's what it all comes down to.
Look, at the end of the day,
I don't know if I disagree on that one. The narrative that you have to have like a stronger squad because you're predicting, you're tolerating the fact that one of your players can't stick to the rules.
Regardless of that.
You definitely need a stronger squad for other reasons, but this idea that we can tolerate red cards. Oh, host is gone. This idea that we should tolerate red cards. What's that?
It's a takeover. Go, carry on. Sorry.
I just listen. I love Romero. I do love him, but I think this reputation that he's forging is gonna be something he takes with him throughout his career at Tottenham. And if he doesn't find a way to snuff it out, to dial it down, then it is going to be something that costs him. And even if you do have a world-class centre-back, like imagine the sales pitch, right? You go to Tapsoba in January and go, we really need you. We were going to sign Lloyd Kelly. We were going to sign Toast Nadarabayo. They're players that are a little bit lesser quality than Van der Ven and Romero. But actually, we want you, Tapsoba. How are we going to guarantee you minutes? We're going to guarantee you minutes for 2 reasons. One of them, the most important one, is the likelihood of Romero's red cards. Like, I don't think that should be part of the sales pitch, that you have someone who's a world-class player who can step into the team and be as good as Romero and have to sell that narrative as a consequence of the fact that that Romero is going to get red cards. I just think it's silly. There's not too many other world-class centre-backs that the fans and the clubs that have them tolerate. I know that there was one at Real Madrid for a long time, 10 years ago, but most top level centre-backs these days don't have to have a reputation for getting 3 or 4 red cards a season. I just think it's something that needs to be dialed out of him rather than the world has to learn to accept him for who he is. You just dial it down a little bit.
Sean, if I would have asked you or said to you, we're signing this top quality centre back, but he's going to miss between 6 to 10 games every season through injury, would you have taken him?
Yeah, but Romero gets injured. Well, it's good. It's interesting. I like what you're saying. But Romero also is injured for 10,
That's
12
why
games
I put a few extra games in there.
I like where you're going with it. It's not the same thing because an injury is infrequent. It happens when it happens. But for what it's worth, Romero's injury record is also something that's questionable.
Good.
So you've got a guy who misses a quarter of the season through injury and another eighth of the season through suspension. You end up with only three. Like you end up with 5/8 of a full season.
It's not really.
What do you mean?
Not really a quarter. Like if you said to me, I get the player of the caliber of Coutinho Romero, vice captain, leadership role within the team, but he misses a few games through suspension, a few games through injury. I'm still taking him. I don't want him to dial it down at all. At all.
I disagree. Polite disagree. I think you can keep 90% of the player. If you don't shake hands with the fact that the rules are changing, then you're forever going to be resenting the fact. You're going to be saying we're always going to be having situations where we sit there and go, the referee's got that one wrong. Where Dave convinced me over 3 days. He didn't let the conversation drop. He convinced me in the end that there was no other outcome, but there was one other outcome. It was an outcome where he didn't have to drive in at 100 miles an hour on the edge of the area anyway. Inside the
game's
penalty
being
box,
played at 100 miles per hour, Sean. The game's being played at that space. It's Premier League.
Name me another let me switch it. Name me another world-class centre back who has the disciplinary record that Romero does. Sergio Ramos. No, he doesn't play anymore. The game has moved. He doesn't play anymore. Name another one.
Right now?
Rafa Marquez.
Who?
The old Barcelona centre-back.
Come on. There's not. Virgil van Dijk doesn't need to do it. Right? No one else needs to do it.
Virgil van Dijk is our Mickey van der Ven, right? They're the ones that you compare with each other.
Joaquin Anderson doesn't have to do it. Saliba doesn't have to do it. Gabriel doesn't do it.
Gabriel does do it. What are you talking about? Gabriel gets sent off his fair share as well.
Does he get sent off for the? No, he doesn't. Not as frequently as Romero does.
Well, he should be.
Gareth, West Ham, Akanji, City's been sent off. Gusto, Chelsea. There's loads of repairs.
Martinez.
I think what you guys have got this you're acting like the mother whose son started off stealing sweets from WH Smith's and then has progressed to stealing cars, has been locked up, and you're saying you've got unconditional love for this kid. He's a good boy. He just needs, and then you know what comes next? He gets done for murder, and you'll still have unconditional love for him. You'll still go and visit him in jail. But you can't ever tell him what he does is wrong because that's just the way he is. No,
it's not.
Stop being a criminal.
It's not that. It's not that at all.
In the last 4 years, Gabriel and Romero have both had the exact same red cards in the league.
On a red card per game basis, Gabriel has not had as many red cards as Romero has. Romero's barely played in the last 4 years. The numbers might be the same, but how many games have they played?
Look, we might be arguing 5 games here, 5 games there, but
Look, the question is, are we a better team with Romero or without Romero? We're a better team with Romero. Problem solved. Look, I'm going to leave this one to the comments. Let us know where you sit on the side. Do you sit with John? You sit with Ben, please let us know. We could sit here talking all night about Romero with Shawnee. He loves it. It's his favorite subject. Daniel Horton says he hasn't become a new YouTube member. Big up. Welcome to the Flat Tap Army, man. You're going to have to order yourself one of these bad boys. Go into M&M Direct. You get them really, really cheap. Big up, Daniel Horton. And welcome. Brother, hopefully you enjoy all the content that is up there for members only. And also big up to Tron. Hopefully you're keeping well. Says big up, lads. Romero has been good this season, but if you take the passion out of Romero, he won't be the same player. Big up, Dave, Sean, and Ben. Come on, you Spurs. I tend to agree with that. I do think, look, I think as the guy gets older, I think he'll get a little bit wiser. And I think, you might see, well, Sergio Ramos and Pepe didn't. Maybe he won't actually. Look, we're just going to have to accept Romero is the player that he is, Dermo. For one, I embrace it. I love seeing a nasty fucker play the game of football. At the end of the day, it's a contact sport. If you don't want contact in football, go and watch netball or basketball. There's plenty of other sports out there that cater for non-contact. For me, I love the physicality of it. I think Romero's an absolute throwback. And I'm okay with Romero. I think he's an absolute quality player.
No, I'm also okay with Romero. I love Romero.
People maybe don't accept him for who he truly is, Dermo.
Sean,
I love Romero.
Why do you hate him?
Hang on. I don't want this narrative to be out that Sean hates Romero. Sean was skeptical and suspicious of Romero around the World Cup time. I was very suspicious then. I love him for the player that he could be. I love him for the player that he almost is. But I do not give him unconditional love. I would not have a son that steals cars. And I say, you know what, though, he does hoover the carpet really well. I'll tolerate the fact that he nicks a couple of motors every week. It's not okay. He can do better. He can adapt. He can learn. I still love him, but he can do better. Come on.
What about Casemiro, Sean? Casemiro gets sent off like every other game.
Yeah, he would infuriate me as well. He's a good player, but he'd infuriate me as well.
But there you are, opening up the can of worms yet again. You're an evil man. Big up, brother. I really do appreciate the sport. It really does go a long way to everything we do. And Michael says, Dave, don't disrespect volleyball. Look, nothing against volleyball. Nothing against it. It's a good sport to watch. If the right people are playing it. But yeah, look, for me, nothing against it whatsoever. I'm just saying it's non-contact. There's plenty of other sports people can go and watch. That doesn't involve contact. And then there's one other comment I just wanted to take. Where is it gone? It was from some guy, Captain Grandma, and he says, I don't get opinions like Dave's on Lo Celso. Well, look, I'm going to say this. Hopefully this might make people understand where I'm coming from. I'm comparing Lo Celso's impact at Tottenham, debatable whether it's 4.5 or 5 years, I don't really care, compared to Maddison's 12-game stint at Tottenham. And for me, Maddison is exactly what a player should be doing when he comes to Tottenham. Lo Celso, he's failed. I don't get why we're turning to a failure, but that's what it is. Hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from on that issue. And then we have Shamu not out winning to open up another can of worms on Romero. We're trying to move on Shamu. He says, Rambam is a decent centre-back as long as someone good is beside him, can be a bit rash and lose his head, which he needs to control. Yeah, look, I mean, it all goes back to what Van der Ven said, and I absolutely loved it. He makes me more aggressive. I make him more calm. He does need that partner beside him. And look, we've seen that last year, right? He was alongside Dyer. I mean, it was just atrocious back there. You bring in the right partner beside him, and I think it does elevate his game, to be honest with you. Look, everyone, when he scores, it is now formally known as a Rambam. Of course, I came up with that a few weeks ago with his screamer against Burnley. So anytime he scores, hashtag Rambam everywhere. Absolutely love it. Big up, Shamu, man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Last but not least, guys, just want to quickly ask you on Richarlison. There was a report out there this evening from some sort of Brazilian outlet saying Richarlison would be willing to accept an offer to change clubs in January, and he doesn't see much of a chance of his situation positively evolving at the club in the coming months. Where do you stand with that? Well, what's you on this one, Shawnee? Because, look, to be fair, you sort of were on it from the very beginning. Does that sound like Richarlison maybe given up at Tottenham? And second of all, what would that move look like? A sale or a loan? Because I'm of the opinion, can't go through this process of spending big money, big wages, and loaning these players out. At some point, they have to take what value they can get for them.
Give me 30 million quid from some Saudi Arabian team, and I'll bite your hand off. I will bite your hand off. I've said it from the start. I know this wonderful man beneath me, always had Big Rich in his fantasy team or in his sites, whatever. But look, Ben's been wrong. Ben has been wrong about it for the last 18 months. I've been right the whole time. At the end of the day, Richarlison is not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. He is not good enough for I don't know, any Premier League team, in my opinion. I just think he is absolutely woeful. I think he's got a touch. He can't. He has no first touch. He can't trap a bag of cement. He over eggs the pudding with what he wants to do. Flash little back heels and stuff when he can't even just do a normal thing. His confidence is massively important to him, but even a peak performance, Richarlison is still a woefully inadequate player for this level. And for me, when he starts to come out and say things like, just before we needed him now because of the injury crisis, oh, I've been focusing too much on the football club. It's time for Richarlison to think about Richarlison. Get out. You pour me another ridiculous player. He's not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. Give me 30 million quid. Send him on his way to Saudi Arabia. I'll take anybody in his place. I would have taken the guy from Watford in the summer over him for 15 million quid. He went to Forest instead. Nothing's going to change my mind. He's not good enough. Sayonara, Richie. Please go. Please take your crises elsewhere, and let's get someone in who can play football.
Let me push back before we let Benji get in there, because of course I'm taking Jack's role tonight. So I want to bring in Jack's opinion, or his likeness over Richarlison to this. So Sean, are we potentially being a bit harsh? Because I would suggest Richarlison has had more of an impact at Tottenham than what Giovanni Lo Celso has. But yeah, people are okay to keep, let's bring back Gio, let's bring him back in.
No, you know what it is with Richarlison? People have lowered their expectations, right? Everybody knows, the people that have backed him they know how bad he is. They know they're wrong, but they've lowered their expectation now to the point where if he gets an assist in the game, but that assist is the quintessential 3-foot pass to Maddison, who then jukes to the left, jukes to the right, knocks the ball 3 foot and whips it in like he did against Burnley. Richarlison had a good game, bro. What are you talking about? Richarlison got an assist. Geezer's stepping up. It's the best part of form we've ever seen from Richarlison. You know why? Because the bar is down here. If anybody else at Tottenham put in the shifts that Richarlison does, when Richarlison gets like, oh, you've got to give him a 7, it's the best performance we've seen from Richarlison. If anybody else on that pitch put in a Richarlison level performance, they'd be saying Geezer should be dropped. But instead, because everybody backed Richarlison, they know they're wrong and they're trying to find a reason to not be wrong. Just get on board the Richarlison's not good enough train. It will save you some headaches in the long run. Get rid of the migraine. Get rid of the Richarlison. He ain't good enough. And as far as Lo Celso, Dave, I agree with you as well. He ain't good enough either. Get them both gone and we'll figure it out. I'd rather see Jamie Donnelly play than Lo Celso. I'd rather see Brennan Johnson playing the 9 ahead of Richarlison. I'd rather see Tottenham go and spend some money on a couple of forwards, couple of wingers that could drive at players. No more Richarlison, no more Lo Celso, no more excuses. And the same goes for Romero. I love Romero, but stop excusing it because you love him. You can critique players when they don't do what they're supposed to do. It's okay to say, I love this guy, but he played badly, or that was bad. Or it's okay to say, I don't like this guy, and it doesn't matter how bad a performance is. You can't find a reason to celebrate him. Richarlison, get out of here.
I'll accept the Richarlison criticism. I'll accept the Lo Celso criticism, but you stay away from Cuti Romero, please.
I love Romero, but it's okay to critique him. It's okay to say he shouldn't be sliding in the way he does occasionally. It's okay.
But look, my opinion on Richarlison, my opinion's been swayed because I had Sean in the WhatsApp being like, "Oh, you got to back Richarlison. Richarlison's a good signing." All this, and I came on board to Richarlison because of No, I'm joking. I backed Richarlison. I backed Richarlison. I did back Richarlison from the beginning, but he hasn't done anything in the Spurs shirt. And I do agree with what you're saying, Sean, that people have lowered their expectations in terms of when they're critiquing his performances and saying, oh, he's had a good game. Look at that square pass to Sonny. Look at that assist. It was unbelievable. Anyone can make that 2-yard pass, let's be honest. So, look, if we get an offer from the Saudis in January, we have to take it because it's only going to get his value is only dropping. It's only dropping. So we have to take what we can get in January. I would take 25, 30, 35 million for an 100%. If it's a loan with an option to buy, I think I take that as well. But what you got to say as well, with the likes of Giovanni Lo Celso and Richarlison, why is it only at Tottenham they don't perform? Because Lo Celso's played well at Villarreal. He's played well for Argentina. He's played well.
But Ben, could it not sometimes be a case that you're a good player, it just you don't suit the league or that system.
horses for courses.
Look, you know,
Horses for
in
courses.
Spain, it's a lot slower league, right? He's got a lot more time on the ball. In the Premier League, you don't have that time on the ball.
But I think we have seen good performances from Giovanni Lo Celso. I always take it back to that moment under Jose Mourinho when we had all those injuries. You know, I know we went through a really bad run, but he was one of our best players, standing up for the team, being aggressive in the middle of the park, winning the ball back. I want to see him get back to those levels. We've seen it from him in a Spurs shirt. Maybe not for a very long time, granted, but we have seen it from him in a Spurs shirt. Richarlison as well. There is a player in there. We've seen it for Everton. Last season, at the back end of the season, he single-handedly saved them from relegation. That's why we signed him for 60 million. He was scoring week in, week out. Like, great goals as well from the left-hand side. Clutch goals for Everton. We've seen it from him in the Premier League. So why is it not working for him at Spurs? I think there's other stuff going on with him, with his mental health, injuries, things like that. I think he's got...
His mental health is definitely a problem, but he blames everyone but himself.
Yeah, well, I've seen him blame himself as well, to be honest.
He came out and said that he was going to see somebody.
Yeah, I've seen him blame himself. I've seen him say, my performances aren't good enough. I'm not worthy of the fee that Tottenham paid for me. All this kind of stuff. He's beating himself a bit too much up about his bad form, to be honest. And I think, like,
he still can't trap a ball though, mate. His first touch is lead.
Agreed. But he needs, in my opinion, what Richarlison needs is just something completely fresh and new surroundings, everything. He needs to move to reinvigorate himself.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen at Tottenham, but I completely disagree with people that say he's not good enough, because we've seen it from him. We've seen him play well. We've seen him get goals. So I don't buy that him or Lo Celso are not good footballers, because I think both of them are good footballers, but I don't think it's going to work for them at Tottenham.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like, I think that there's horses for courses. I think that, like I said earlier, and I'll turn this into a positive, not about Richarlison or about Lo Celso, but a positive about the horses for courses. I think you'll see that the rationale for Lloyd Kelly, for me, I could be wrong about this. I usually am. However, I would say that people that are turning their nose up to Lloyd Kelly haven't seen Lloyd Kelly at his best, because at Bournemouth, they are usually tucked in, on the receiving end of a barrage of opportunities. And like I say, if you were to put Mickey van der Ven in a Bournemouth team, you wouldn't see the best of him, because he doesn't get to do what he does. And I think Lloyd Kelly is really quick, really strong, good in the air, leadership, English. I think that there's like a horses for courses argument there. The best version of Lloyd Kelly could be seen in a high line where he can get back and cover and do the things. Kind of similar, not to get off to another conversation, but Davinson Sanchez is probably a better footballer in certain systems than he is in others. And I think the same for Richarlison and Lo Celso. Lo Celso probably plays better in the Spanish league, and I think Richarlison probably plays better in the Championship.
Well, I will say Brazil didn't win a World Cup with Richarlison up front, and Argentina didn't win a World Cup with Lo Celso in the squad either. So, Lo Celso wasn't in that squad. So, I question, look, are they as good as maybe, we as fans make them out to be? Look, with Richarlison, I think at Everton, he was sort of the main man there. When he came to Tottenham, he wasn't the main man. I think, look, obviously, he's been carrying injuries. He's had some of his own sort of stuff going on behind the scenes, which hasn't helped. But at the end of the day, we're a football club where the fans are very, very ambitious. And I'm actually at the point where we shouldn't be tolerating, these guys hanging around here for 3, 4, 5 years like a bad smell. If you had a rat infestation, you'd call in the guys to sort out fairly quick. So I think we should be quick to get these guys off the books. And when it comes to Richarlison, look, nothing against the kid, because one thing I'll say about him compared to other players that I'll be very harsh on in the past is he actually cares. Every time he comes onto the pitch, he actually cares about what he's doing. It may not come off, but he cares. And for that, I'll always give him credit for it. But can't keep persisting. I don't want to see a situation come January where we're owning him out, and then the same comes again this summer. Cut ties, ship him out, if that's the decision you're going to make, and send him on his way and replace him. We have to start being ruthless here at Tottenham Hotspur. And then just quickly, guys, before we let you plug what's coming up on your channels and that. Iceman in the community section, he wants what your thoughts are on the FA coming out and reinvestigating the full transfer. Start you, Benji.
It's ridiculous. You know what, yeah? Why don't we go back to the 1900s and go and investigate Arsenal for buying their way back into the top division if we're going to go back to 2008? It's ridiculous. How far do they want to go back? Like, come on. If we're going to investigate that, I want them to investigate every single transfer that has been made in the Premier League since then and tell me that not a dodgy agent or an unlicensed agent hasn't been used in every single transfer since then. It's an absolute joke. Once time has passed. They looked at it at the time. They didn't want to punish Spurs. So just get lost, man. They're just trying to deflect everything away from Man City and Chelsea. Stick to the real issues here, and that's them.
Absolute spot on. Couldn't agree more with that. Johnny, where are you at with it? I know we had a conversation before the news broke yesterday about we had a conversation the other night on the stream about it, but since then the news has developed. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with Ben. I think it's ridiculous. However, like, unfortunately, the gods of football have come to rain on me. Like, I did a video saying if rules have been broken, you have to face the consequences. And I was talking about Everton, Man City, and Chelsea. And then 24 hours later, I actually even went as far as to say on the video, the one good thing about having Daniel Levy as an owner is that the chances are that we haven't broken any rules like that. Everything's like knitted up like in a tight little package. And then within 24 hours, that whole thing unravels. So I have to keep the same energy to not want to look like a hypocrite and say if rules have been broken and it's legit, then punish us, but I want everyone to be audited because I think everybody's guilty of some sort of infractions. But at the same time, in reality, I would say the same as Ben. How far back do you go? I've got a long list. Someone sent me about 20-line message of various different situations of bunging and all this stuff that goes back to the start of the Premier League era. So, if you're going to do us, you should do everybody else. So, yeah, I hope there's nothing to it. I hope it's ridiculous, but you never know. I think that the authorities right now are on a bit of a witch hunt to go and to get some kind of, to get some sort of slam dunks, if you like.
I know people think I'm mad. I'm mad, this, that, and the other, right? And a lot of people out there think I speak a lot of bollocks, but especially when it comes to this agenda against Tottenham. But just hear me out. Lasagna Gate, then the David Dean Gate, where Arsenal were allowed to cancel a fixture, we weren't, so that we could go and play Europe. And now this. So there does seem to be, stuff forming to the method of my madness or to what I do say. There does seem to be a bit of a history to it. So maybe I'm not so mad after all. But look, guys, we'll start with you, Ben. What's coming up on the channel, man?
Dave, sorry, just really quickly, guys. Sorry, I'm 5 minutes late for a show.
Start with you, Sean. What's coming up on yours?
Yeah, Spurs Talk Show, same stuff as always. Walks with dogs and occasional streams and all that stuff. I love you, Dave. Love you, Ben. Great chat. Shout out to everyone in the comments. Have a wonderful evening. I've got a sheet, though. I'll see you soon. Take it easy.
Thank you,
and as always, Romero, calm down.
Never going to let Romero one drop, Benji. Never going to let it drop, my man.
Look, he'll drop it once Romero's lifting that trophy, that Premier League trophy at the end of next season, eh?
I hope so. I think that's what it's going to take. But Ben, also, what's coming up on We Are Tottenham TV, my man?
Yeah, just the usual stuff. We Are Tottenham TV, pre-match stuff going on tomorrow for the Big Villa game this weekend. We've also created a new Korean channel as well. We Are Tottenham TV Korea, which the support on there has been absolutely insane. We're up to already nearly 15,000 subscribers in the space of like 3.5 weeks. So I'm blown away by the support on there. So just want to say thank you very much if anyone on there has subscribed. So thank you.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing, my man. Brilliant stuff. Look, if there's anybody out there that understands Korean, please get over there, check it out, and smash that subscribe button. Also, check out the boys' Tottenham channel. It was absolutely a piece of content between Ben and Sim. Really enjoyed it. Actually, it was a great half an hour. While I was playing Football Manager, so I really appreciate that. Actually, really enjoyed that. So do check that out. It was a great idea and great show. But guys, to you guys out there, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody for tuning in today. I really do appreciate all your support. It really does mean a lot. Hopefully you guys out there have enjoyed the discussion, have enjoyed the show, and also the characters that we try to bring you for these streams as well. On your way out, please smash that like button. Really does help us out with the algorithm. I want to say a massive thank you as well to THFC Till I Die, to Shamu, to Ball B Counter. There was also Faz Radfar and David as well, who grabbed channel membership. Really do appreciate that, guys. And I'll leave you King Huddle's comment. Very graphic, what he said about Richarlison. It cracked me up. So I'll leave you with it. I'll just have to go and find it. Give me 1 second. What did he say? Richarlison wouldn't hit an elephant's arse with a pea shoot. So I'll leave you on that one. Guys, have a good evening. As always, come on, you Spurs. In the mighty arms we trust. And the most important thing, we never stop.
Stop.